The goal of today is to do just a quick overview of our retirement planning guide. We've done a lot of education, we've got a lot of experience, and we've taken a long time to try to put this together. The goal of this guide, frankly, is one, just to give you some educational points that are really important if you are starting to do retirement planning, but also to kind of give you a starting or another template to kind of look at your retirement and looking over it over that entire time period from your first day at retirement to your last. So just I'm going to work through this, kind of go word by word, and hopefully give you a little bit of extra education as we go along. So to start off with, this is the retirement planning guide. Let's get started on your journey to a secure and fulfilling retirement. I mean, that's the goal, right? So what's your retirement dream? Picture guilt-free adventures, traveling the world, rediscovering passions, or diving into hobbies that spark joy. Imagine the peace of knowing you'll never be a burden to your family with a plan designed to help secure independence. Most importantly, envision creating a lasting legacy, whether through heartfelt charitable giving or an inheritance that reflects your values and love. This guide will shape a retirement plan that aims to bring your dreams to life with confidence and purpose. And so these are the couple of things we're going to try to help you answer and educate you a little bit on. That is, when can I retire? What age should I claim Social Security and Medicare benefits? How much can I safely withdraw each month? What happens to my retirement if markets drop 20%? And then how to legally disinherit the IRS, where we have to pay taxes, but hopefully we can minimize how much we're required to pay. So quick, brief overview. This is my team, Universal Value Advisors. Also our partners are Wealth Vision, which is See Your Future. So these are the entirety of our team here. Just a little bit of experience on us. I'm going to skip that for now, but this is our team right here. And if you're interested in, you can click any of these and go to our individual websites, which are all linked together. So real quick, your retirement vision. Now, ideally what you're going to do is select your top 5 retirement priorities here. And now for many people, everybody's different. But for me personally, I like to make work optional. I like to minimize taxes. I don't want to be a burden to my family. Now, if I was going to click 2 more, for me, I would be clicking, I want to be able to spend guilt-free. And the other one for me, honestly, is I'd like to provide a lasting legacy. Now, what does your retirement look like? So this is broken down into 3 parts. You got your goals, your family, and your health. Now, you can click here to input, and I highly recommend you do so. So on your goals, what do you want to achieve? This could include travel, hobbies, or leaving a legacy through charitable giving or inheritance. And so goal-wise, we kind of already touched on it earlier, but really, I'll keep it simple. I'd like to be able to travel, for, the first 5 years, first 10 years. Well, let's go for 10 years of retirement. And I'm not suggesting that there's not going to be any retirement, any travel after that 10 years, but the majority is going to be done in that first 10 years. And, for example, maybe that looks like, $15,000 per year. It's different for everybody. Next, on to family. How will you support or spend time with family? This might involve funding education, family gatherings, or relocation. I think for family, for me, I want to be able to live close enough to my family or have the ability to visit my family on important holidays, days, and possibly even a couple times a month. But it's different for everybody again. Now, health. Estimate your life expectancy and health expectations. Also have hard conversations when you are of sound mind. Who will take care of you and to what extent when you get older? Now, here's the important thing. Look at your parents. Look at your grandparents. Did they have any issues such as dementia or heart attacks or strokes? Take that into account. And then after taking that into account, look at your health versus your parents' health, right? Did they smoke cigarettes and you didn't? Take all those things into account. And last but not least, especially when it comes to health, right? You're going to get to an age when you need help from other people, right? Now, it could be that you just need help cleaning your gutters, hopefully. Or it may be you need help getting up in the morning. You need help bathing. It could be that to that extent. Are you going to live with your child? Are you going to live close to your child? So you need to start having those conversations. For me personally, and I'll just keep it simple here, is I don't want Or why don't we keep it simple here and say, I'll live with my kids. Now, ideally for you, you're going to spend some more time here and fill these out a little bit more. I'm trying to keep it simple and because your time is valuable. Now, let's talk about the 4 quadrants of retirement. Now, this is how we do retirement planning. You're going to hear very, very different things when it comes to other firms and advisors, etc. But hopefully you're on board with the way we think of things. So the 4 quadrants of retirement. Your goals, family needs, and health outlooks determine your annual income needs and therefore the assets required at the start of your retirement. The quadrants below show that retirement has phases with its own unique cash flow. This is why a flat withdrawal rate typically should not drive your financial plan. And so, as we show here, we like to break it down, and we're not the first people to come up with this, at least the go-go, slow-go, and no-go portion. But for us, we really do believe in, when you first retire, you're in that go-go phase, right? Ideally, you're healthy. Those are your active years of travel and hobbies. Then you get a little bit older. It tends to be, those are considered your slow-go years. A little bit of reduced activity, but you're still independent. Then it goes into your no-go years. You've got limited mobility, higher healthcare costs, and last but not least is your legacy. And essentially that's what you leave behind. You're planning for wealth transfer or charitable giving, or a big one here are the instructions of what you want to have happen with not only your wealth, but the things you built while you were alive. So let's talk quickly about minimum dignity floor versus discretionary spending. So not all expenses are equal, right? Your minimum dignity floor. This is the baseline income needed to cover essentials like housing, food, utilities, and healthcare in each retirement phase. Realize that it's different in each phase. Then you've got your discretionary spending, funds for non-essentials like travel, entertainment, or gifting, which vary by phase. It tends to be higher in go-go and lower in no-go, right? Now, next, when you're entering retirement, you need to realize that this is all the money you're ever going to earn. When you are younger, getting out of the rat race requires hard work and risk. Once you've made it, make sure your minimum dignity floor is covered by an appropriately risked investment portfolio. Estimating your needs versus wants will help you determine how much income is required annually and how it shifts over time. Both minimum dignity floor and discretionary spending change in each quadrant of retirement. When you first retire, discretionary spending will likely be at its highest. In quadrant 3, minimum dignity floor spending will likely be at its highest, right? Healthcare expenses, that's the big one. So income versus income at risk. Guaranteed income. And honestly, before I get into this, I just want you to fully understand what we're looking at here, right? What I'm saying to you is we're not big believers in the flat withdrawal rate. And the reason for that is because your, essentially needed income, right? Your minimum dignity floor changes throughout your retirement, as does your discretionary spending. So if I gave you just a standard flat withdrawal rate, that wouldn't be adequate for your retirement. That wouldn't be the right way to do it. So let's talk about guaranteed income versus income at risk. Guaranteed income. This is from stable sources like Social Security, pensions, annuities, or low-risk investments that cover your minimum dignity floor. Income at risk. Investments with more volatility, which may fluctuate with markets, but fund future discretionary spending, like travel. When to take Social Security, pensions, annuities, and insurance. Now, there's a lot of calculators online. Some of them are good, most of them are not. But this is to give you a little bit of education, right? Especially when you get closer to Social Security age. Social Security will actually start sending you benefit estimates. And this is going to go into it a little bit here. So for Social Security, a good tool for estimating your Social Security benefits is actually SSA.org. You may already received a Social Security benefits estimate, but it's important to realize that you can start benefits anywhere from age 62 to age 70. Confirm this with your estimate since these numbers can change, but delaying benefits increases monthly payments. This is ideal if you have other income sources and expect to live into your mid-80s and beyond. Claiming earlier reduces benefits but may suit immediate needs. Medicare. Enroll in Part A, hospital, and Part B, medical during the initial enrollment period. And now this is 3 months before through 3 months after your 65th birthday to avoid lifelong late enrollment penalties on Part B premiums. Stop HSA contributions the month before Part B starts, as Medicare enrollment disqualifies further tax-free HSA deposits. Consider Part D prescription drugs at the same time to sidestep late penalties, and evaluate whether a Medigap policy or Medicare Advantage plan better fills gaps in original Medicare. That's a lot, I know. I would say be very careful in this. I just threw a lot of information in there. This could have been a whole page. This could have been pages of information, but I'm just trying to get you started. I highly recommend, if I just threw all that at you and anything in there was a little bit confusing, please go look up, understand, some of these delay periods, understand, the 3 months before, the 3 months after, make sure you understand those things. And make sure what you choose is best for your situation. Annuities and pensions. Consider for guaranteed income to supplement Social Security, especially for essential expenses. Pensions typically provide lump sum and monthly payment options, which should be evaluated based on financial needs and life expectancy. Insurance. You ought to review life, long-term care, and health insurance to help protect against unexpected costs and liquidity issues. Portfolio risks. So essentially what we've done here is just to give you kind of an idea of the different, investment risks you have in retirement. Now, of course, we've put these together. These are just for educational purposes, but this is just kind of a baseline portfolio projection, right? It's not your situation, but it gives you an idea, right? Here's your baseline portfolio projection, right? You're taking money out every year. You've got a little bit of a return every year, but some of the things we're most worried about would be sequence of returns risk. And so it's explained here, poor market returns early in retirement deplete your portfolio much faster when you're withdrawing funds. Keep that in mind. Now, you've got concentration risk here. Consider your risk tolerance and aim to ensure enough of your portfolio is in an appropriate risk model to weather the storms that will inevitably happen during your retirement. Don't forget, most of us are living much longer now, and that retirement period is much longer now as well. Retirement periods of 30, 40, sometimes even 50 years are very possible, so keep that in mind. Liquidity risk. Ensure enough cash or easily accessible funds to cover 1 to 2 years of expenses. This helps you avoid forced sales of investments during market downturns. So let me click on that for you so you can actually take a look here. So this is the impact of liquidity risk, concentration risk, and I highly recommend you come in here, spend some more time, and actually look at what it's showing you. And there's some explanations here on the bottom as well. And again, just an estimate, just some for educational purposes. I'm not going to dive into these items, but here's some planning resources. Okay, these are things that we use here at the firm. Use them. Highly recommend it. Helps you organize your cash flows. Helps you organize your balance sheets. Here's the downloads, and then here's even an estate planning checklist, which is very, very important as well. Here's a time value of money calculator. I know these are online, but here's this one. Play around with it a little bit. The biggest thing is, say for example, you're thinking, oh man, I really need $50,000 from my investment portfolio a year. We're not talking about Social Security, pension if you have it, but just from your investments. How much do you need a year? Let's assume, I need $60,000 a year, right? I need $60,000 for, 30 years. Expected annual return, okay, let's just pretend it's 6%. And let's assume an inflation rate of about 2%, right? Okay, so I need about $1 million today. Great, play around with that, just fun. And then let's talk about inflation and tax strategies. So hey, inflation, prices rise over time. They erode purchasing power. Security types like fixed income can be a reasonable way to mitigate risk in your portfolio and provide recurring income. But too much fixed income, which, your risk versus return is off, but the important thing to realize is you can be vulnerable to inflation risk. When it comes to taxes, you ought to manage withdrawals from tax-deferred accounts, such as IRAs, to help minimize tax liability. Few retirees will have the same income throughout retirement. Social Security, required minimum distributions, also known as RMDs, and other income can make your income move in and out of tax brackets and IRMAA surcharges. By doing proactive tax strategies, you can endeavor to stabilize your income and reduce your lifetime tax bill. And this is very, very real. In some cases, we're talking about a lot of money. So here I ask, please select how you file below, right? Maybe it's filing jointly or filing singly. Here's long-term gains. And the nice thing about these little explain buttons, this is for 2026, just breaks the brackets down in case you're curious of what it looks like, right? Don't have the state here, this is just federal. And this is an important one too right here, is account balances. Is kind of, put in what your account balances look like. They don't have to be exact, but for taxable brokerage, right? Let's assume it's 50,000. You can see I've put numbers in here before already. But traditional IRA, right? Let's say maybe that's actually $1 million. Great, Roth IRA. So that just gives you an idea, right? Because the whole idea here is you want to see what your 3 buckets of investment accounts look like, right? The ones that essentially, as kind of explained here, is you want to know your tax-deferred ones, your tax-free ones, and then the ones that are in a taxable account. This will kind of divide them for you. Estate documents. So this gives you the opportunity to select the ones you already have in place. Hopefully you already have a trust if you need it, a will, healthcare directive, financial directive, and then if you're charitably inclined, and especially if you're doing some of those tax strategies right now, hopefully you've got the donor advised fund as well. What's nice about this, each one of these have a little explain icon here, so feel free to do a little bit more education on your side. And so this talks a little bit about the importance of estate planning. The nice thing is there's a very large estate exemption now, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for the instructions, you put in your trust, you put in your will, right? Think about how difficult it is to make decisions today for your spouse, for your kids, etc., for yourself, especially if you get sick or something happens to disable you. Make those decisions today, because tomorrow it's going to be even more difficult to make those decisions, especially if you're not the one making the decision. So keep that in mind. So putting it all together, hopefully it's been very beneficial for you. I do recommend you generating a little retirement summary now. It'll send you a nice little email. It'll just have you put your name in, email address, your phone, boom, sends you a nice little template almost instantly. And what's great is the things you put in here are put into that email. So now you have that template when you're doing planning in the future. There's some cool things on there. And then last but not least, hopefully you're interested in working with us. If not, that's okay too. Here's a lot of free information, a lot of free education, and some things I think that'll be very helpful to you. But nonetheless, we're here if you're interested. Retirement is a very exciting phase. It's very different as well. So hopefully you'll consider us. But nonetheless, hope you really enjoyed this, and thank you for your time.